Now, it's just for the teenagers, not the adults, not for the counselors, because the winner gets $5 today. Tomorrow, the winner gets let me get there, son. Tomorrow, the winner gets $10, you get nothing. Tomorrow, the next day, the winner gets $20, and the last day, the winner gets nothing but a pat on the back and a God bless you, you be warm and filled. $50 bill. All right, now, if you're going to get my money, you're going to earn it. How many have never played Jesus Says before? Oh my goodness. Okay, here's how it works. How many have ever heard of Simon Says?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. There we go. So it's just spiritual Simon Says. You don't do anything until Jesus says. Do you understand that? Raise your hand if you understand the rule. So you'd already be out because Jesus didn't tell you that. Knucklehead. Don't do anything until Jesus says. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of mercy today. Tomorrow, we're going to start right in and I'm going to eliminate you, slaughter you. Okay, now, a couple things about Jesus Says. Listen now. Number one, you have to do it when I tell you to do it. You can't be thinking about it. You know, you got to get in on it. You got to go. Number two, you have to go as fast as I tell you. If I say, Jesus, put your hand, Jesus, put your arm down, you have to go as fast as I tell you. You can't be going, what? You go too slow, you're out. You don't do it when I tell you, you're out. And if you blow it, you're out. So I need the adults. I need a couple of adults to stand on this side, a couple of adults to stand on that side. You would, and then you help me eliminate them because they're cheating fools and I know what they're trying to get away with. So, because, you know.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
Hey, you know what? You need to shut up. That's not nice. Shut up. Okay. Are you ready? Everybody stand up. Here we go. Let's go. I didn't start yet. Stand up. I didn't start yet. I'm telling you, give me a little mercy at the start, and then it's over after that. Because when I say we are now starting, then that means it's it. Okay, good. All right, raise your right hand. Here we go. Good. Oh, bye. Push it down. Sit down. Sit down. I already said we're started. Everybody get that? How come you're not standing up?
I raised my hand.
You already raised your hand?
I think 4 of them raised their hand.
4 of them already raised their hand. Okay, now here we go. Are you ready? Good. Jesus said put one hand in the air like that. Now put the other hand up. Oh, by the way, and if you move, you're done. But, okay, that's all right. I didn't tell you that rule, so you throw you in there. Good. Put both hands down. Jesus said put Mitchell. See, we always got cheat suckers. And they're going, did they see me, man? I don't know. God sees you. Jesus said, put your hands down. All right, here we go. You ready? Here we go. Jesus said, put your hand up. Wiggle your hand like that. Are you okay? Are you okay? Jesus didn't ask you that question. Sit down. Okay, good. There we go. All right, now Jesus said put your hands down. Jesus said put an arm out like this. Jesus said put the arm up down like that. Now put this arm up over here like this. No, you do it. Straighten your arm out a little more. See ya. Okay. I was talking to her, man. You weren't even paying attention. Is that like your cousin or something? No, I didn't ask you that either. Go sit down. Good. We got 4 over here. All right, Jesus said both arms out like this, palms up. Jesus said palms up, now down. Jesus said palms down, palms up. Jesus said palms down, now palms up. Very good. Jesus said put your hands down. Jesus said run in place. Faster. 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 That's not running. Jesus didn't ask you that. Sit down. All right, there we go. Ah, that's terrible. I hate that. Good. Jesus said run faster. You're doing good. Back up, Dave. Back up. Bobby, back up. Jesus said, Bobby, back up. freaking me out. What kind of underwear you wear, bro? Look how you're running. Alright, she's sitting asking that. Nail him on the underwear every time. That's fantastic. Jesus said stop. Jesus said put arm out like this. Jesus said palm up. Jesus said palm down. Boom, boom. Jesus said palm up. Now down. Is it up or down, Bob? Jesus said, Bobby, is it up or down? You sure? What are you laughing? You were out 10 minutes ago. You said put your arm down? Excuse me. Look, I ate a bug. He was a stranger. I took him in. Okay, good. Hey, young lady back there in the pink, I can't see you. Move that way a little bit. Jesus said, what's your name? You had to think about it. Your name's Shelley? No, I didn't ask you that way. So I said that. I'm sorry. Rodden. Isn't that Rodden? That's just Rodden. Am I right, Bob? You know what, Bob? When I concentrate on somebody, you know what happens? They're drawn in. You know what I'm saying? Quit smiling, Bob. Oh, bye-bye, Bob. Every stinking time, never fails. And I want you to notice something. 4 girls and 1 guy. Huh? You know what that means, right? Jesus said, what's your name, Spanky? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Jesus said, I didn't hear you. Jericho? Like in the walls around in the down the gate? That's what happens, right? Did they go out or in? Can't remember. Okay, good. All right, good. Jesus said, you 2 ladies step 1 step that way a little bit. No, wait, no. You stay right there. Jesus said, you step 1 step that way. Just need a little space. All right, we're good. Are we ready? Now you're going to go really fast, so you got to pay attention, right? Jesus said, hands in the air like this. Pay attention. Were you paying attention? Too slow. Sorry. Good. How you doing, Jericho? Are you getting nervous, bro? No, bye. Jesus said, girl in blue t-shirt, what is your name?
Bethany.
Bethany. Jesus said, take 1 step that way, Bethany. 1 more. Oh. I give a flinch. I'm going to give a flinch. Would you give a flinch? Flinch? Sorry. No. Jesus said, put your hands down. Jesus said, put your hands up. Jesus said, wiggle your hands like this. Jesus said, keep going. Jesus said, go faster. Jesus said, go faster. Now stop. Are your arms getting tired?
Why are you
I wonder how long they can do that. After a while, the blood drains out. It gets right here in your elbow. You okay, Beth? You all right? Okay, Jesus said, stop. Jesus said, put your hands down. Jesus said, you 2 come up here so we can all see what's going on. Bethany, stay over there. Bye, Beth. I didn't tell you to go over there. See you later. Bye, buddy. What's your name? I didn't ask you that. Too bad. Don't sit down. All right, so I was thinking last night. Dude, you just showed up. Are you all right? You fell in the water. We had a baptism. I was thinking last night, these young people were thinking about Brother Anthony's message on repentance and mine about the 3 questions. And I'm sorry, hey, am I interrupting you over here? Delilah, am I interrupting your conversation? Well, you know what? I bet that boy can find a seat on his own. There we go. And I was thinking last night about, these young people, they're probably thinking about the messages last night. And I thought, what could I do to help give a quick review of what they heard last night that might be like, am I interrupting your conversations? Excuse me. Are you okay? Okay, good. When somebody starts talking up here, you be quiet. Here we go. And I was thinking, so what could we do to help them to just sort of refresh their memory last night about what took place? And I thought, I got a good idea. Tootsie Roll. Now I'm going to throw them out in the crowd. Look at me. 2 rules. Number 1, you cannot leave your seat. Number 2, you can eat them, but you have to put the paper in your pocket.
Okay.
When we're done, I'm gonna go around and check the chairs outside. Shouldn't be paper anywhere else. All right, you can eat them. And for some of you junior high boys, unwrap it first. Okay, so that'll work. All right, good. So I thought, why not Tootsie Rolls? You know, Tootsie Rolls would help us, remind us, would kind of reassure us a little bit of what we heard last night. You candy throwing fools over there. I'm talking about you, okay? You're always throwing candy at people. Tootsie Rolls. Tootsie Rolls. So did that kind of remind you of the message a little bit last night? Tootsie Rolls? All right, good. Hebrews chapter 11, please. And we're gonna play a game tonight. Who didn't get a Tootsie Roll? Didn't get one. Too bad. All right, Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11. Brother Sigor, am I saying it right? Right here? Sigor? Sager, Brother Sager. All right. You mean like Pete Seeger, but Sager? You don't know who that is. Okay, you should know who that is. So what did Brother Sager preach today, this morning? What was the thought that he left with you? Yes, ma'am.
Looking up.
Looking up? Looking up. Good. One person got it. That's more than most. Good. I want to talk to you about Moses today. We know who Moses is, right? Moses was Israel's greatest leader. He's still today. I mean, almost 3,000 years later, he's still considered by the Israelites to be one of their greatest leaders. We know that Moses when he was born, Pharaoh declared a law that all the male children had to be taken to the Nile River and thrown in. The Nile River at that time, in Moses' day, was full of crocodiles. So you chuck something in the river, it would be eaten. And so he required his entire nation to take all of their male children, throw them in the river. Remember what happened? His mother took and made an ark of bulrushes, which is a basket that was pitched on the inside so it would float. She wasn't just throwing them in the river, and she wasn't just trying something by chance. She was following a Bible principle. There was an ark that preserved a bunch of people once before. That would be, whose ark? Noah. Okay, 3 people, thank you. It was Noah's ark. So she was following a Bible principle in her mind to preserve her son. So when she put him in that basket, put him in the Nile River, in the flag of the river, which is the reeds, she said, we'll see what happens. She was trusting God to do something for her son. And it just happened, and there's no just happens. Pharaoh's daughter comes down. She sees the basket. They open it. Moses cries. And she says, oh, it's one of the Hebrew children. Now, it's Pharaoh's daughter who gave Moses his name, which means drawn out. So when she does, Moses' sister's there, and she comes over to Pharaoh's daughter and says, can I get an Israelite woman to take care of that baby for you? She said, yes, and I'll pay her wages for it. So not only did God spare Moses, he gave his mother a job. She got paid to take care of her own son. And for the infant years of his life, he was raised as a Jew. But when he got to about 10, 12 years of age, he had to be taken to the palace and had to be raised as an Egyptian. So listen to me. The decisions that Moses made that we're going to look at in Hebrews chapter 11 in a moment, he made all of those decisions while he was a teenager and being raised as an Egyptian. Now you have to understand something. It's kind of like when Daniel was taken captive and then they told him, you're going to eat the king's meat, drink the king's wine, live in the palace. We're going to send you to the University of Babylon and get the best degree. These guys fell upstairs. I mean, they were about to get, instead of being slaves, they were going to be treated like royalty. Well, that was Moses in his day. He's living in the palace. He has all the benefits of Egypt. And Egypt was the greatest world power at the time. Extremely wealthy. I don't know if you ever heard of it or been there. I have. And I've been to seen touched treasures, the golden masks and all the sarcophaguses made out of gold and millions of dollars of stuff. That was Moses' time. That was his life. Now listen to me. He's raised as an Israelite until he's about 10, 12 years old. And from the time he's 12 until he's 40, he's raised as an Egyptian. And look at me, while he is being raised as an Egyptian, he makes the decisions we're going to look at today. Look at Hebrews chapter 11, verse number 23. Hebrews 11 and 23. Now, by faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. Now look at verse 24. Here's the decision. There's 6 of them, so if you're a point counting Baptist, you'll know where we're headed here. And I'll cover them very quickly, but look. By faith, verse 24, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Verse 25, this is while he's an Egyptian, being raised as an Egyptian, a teenager, having the opportunity of the greatest empire in the world as your playground. And he refused there. Verse 25, choosing, rather, to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Verse 26, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt. Whoa. For he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. Verse 27, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Father, help us today, please, to hear and listen carefully, I pray, in Christ's name. Amen. You know, young people, you're making decisions right now that are going to affect the rest of your life. Some of you, how many are seniors? Any seniors in high school here? Couple?
I graduated.
Huh? You graduated? In silence. And so we have 3 or 4, how many juniors in high school? How many of you don't know what grade you're in? You can't figure it out yet. You're trying the 8th grade for the 4th time. We're getting there. No? How many juniors? Sophomores. Freshmen. You girls in school at all? You graduated? You graduated? You didn't raise your hand. I missed it. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Don't feel bad about yourself. Let me help you. The truth of the matter is, but listen to me, whether you're a freshman in high school, senior, or having graduated, you're about to make decisions that are going to impact the rest of your life. Now, you don't see it like that. You don't think, well, I'm a teenager, I'm in school, I get up, I go to school, I come home, I sit there and I vegetate and watch my hair grow. I mean, that's my life. No, the truth of the matter is, that's not the case. See, Moses, when he's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, he made these decisions. And if you'll notice, his decisions was not, I'm an Egyptian, I'm going to be, Egypt is a type of the world. That's right. Pharaoh, type of Satan. And Moses could have just as easily done what a lot of Christians do and turn into a chameleon Christian, which is that lizard that changes colors no matter where you put them. And just decided to blend in. But that's not Moses. And who became one of the greatest leaders in the history of mankind? Hey, people who blend in disappear. Yeah. You ever looked at the life of Methuselah? Methuselah in the Bible. Anybody know how long Methuselah lived? Don't yell it out. Just raise your fat hand. Let me see. What? Methuselah lived 969 years. Do you know what we know about Methuselah? Besides the fact that he lived 969 years? Look at me. Boop. That's it. And Methuselah lived 969 years and he died. How can you live almost 1,000 years and there's not libraries filled with your books? There's not people who still talk about your accomplishments. When Jesus' earthly ministry was 3 years long, he lived to be 33 or so. 3 years long, and John 21 says that if everything that Jesus did was written, not just what he said, but if he did was written, the world itself could not contain all the volumes. He got more in 3 years than Methuselah did 969 years. I don't recommend you go to cemeteries, but next time you happen to be in one, you might look around a moment and look at the headstones. Born, died, beloved son. Born, died, wonderful mother. That's it. They say that there's a whole thing about the dash, born on such a date, dash, died on such a date. It's the dash. What do you do in that dash right there? Between you were born and when you die. Moses was a teenager and made these decisions. And his decision was overall this: I'm not going to be an Egyptian. And what did he do? Let's look at the decision. Verse 24. The Bible says he refused something. What did he refuse? Let's see, verse 24 again. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, now he's got a chance. Just now, by the way, this is when he's about 18, 19 years old. He's come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter was a nice lady. She helped him. She saved his life. Hey, he owed this lady, right? No. He respected her, no doubt, but he didn't owe her anything because he was a child of God. See, Moses at this point makes this decision. Nothing less than a child of God. Nothing less. Not ashamed of that? Are you ashamed of who you are as a Christian? You're one of those people when you go out in public and you pray and stuff. One of those people. You're ashamed for anybody to know that you're a child of God. You got your church, Jesus church thing, but frankly, when the rest of your life goes on, we couldn't tell who you are, what you are, where you're from. Because you're ashamed of Jesus Christ. You're ashamed of somebody saying, well, you're a Christian. And not only that, you're ashamed of being a Bible Baptist Church, Fairbanks, California kind of Christian. Not Moses. He refused anything but to be claimed as a child of God. He had literally, they say he had a potential to be in the lineage, the chain, to become Pharaoh of Egypt one day. Most powerful man in the world. And Moses' answer was, no, I'm not a son of Pharaoh's daughter. I am a son of a Hebrew. Nothing less than a child of God. How you doing with that? Are you okay with that? Are you all right with the fact that you are a child of God? See, because here's the reason that's important. Because he's not ashamed of you. Amen. Jesus is not ashamed of you. He claims you as his own. Yes. He hasn't turned his back on you. He'll never leave you nor forsake you. He is not ashamed of you. When I was getting out of the service in 1975, I was an air traffic controller. And I wanted to do that as my job when I got out. Wasn't right with God at the time, but I had plans and everything else laid out. Well, unfortunately, they weren't hiring air traffic controllers in America for a while. 6 months to 4 years, they told me I would have to wait. And so I heard about the fact that Canada was taking any controllers they get their hands on, pay them really good money, blah, 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 blah. So I got the application to see what was involved. I'm looking at the application, become a Canadian air traffic controller. And one of the things it said was, you have to revoke your U.S. citizenship and become a citizen of Canada. Threw it in the trash. Not against Canada. They don't even know who they are. But the truth of the matter is, I thought, hey, hold on a second. No. I'm an American. I'm not ashamed of that fact. Nothing perfect about America, but it's the best thing on this planet, I assure you. And you know what? I'm not ashamed of it being a child of God. I'm not ashamed of being a Christian. I'm not ashamed of someone saying, are you a Christian? Do you know the Lord? Are you a Christian? Do you go to church? Do you believe the Bible? I'm not ashamed of that. Moses refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Verse 25, look at it, please. Now watch this. Now he makes a choice. And when he does, it says in verse 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Now there's what that means. His people that he chose as his people and said, these are my people. They're slaves. They're doing all the dirt work. They're building the pyramids. They didn't actually build the pyramids, but they built buildings and cities, and they were slaves. And by the way, that didn't mean that they had the job of slave. They were owned. An Egyptian could just kill them and it didn't make any difference. They're property. And here's Pharaoh living in the palace. He gets the nicest of everything, the best of clothes, living in the palace, riding around a chariot. The slaves had to bow down to him. And it says, what did he do to these people here? It says in verse 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than enjoy the pleasures of sin. Before Moses became their leader to lead them out of Israel, Moses said, but those are my people. And if that's what they are, that's what I am. In other words, here's the second decision he made. He chose the tougher way to go. Now look, young people, look at me. I guarantee you know folks who go to other churches in Fairbanks. And we're not against those folks. They just do what they do. That's their business. But wait a minute. Haven't you ever said, well, they don't have to do all this stuff. They don't have the hymns. They got a band up there. They don't have to wear these clothes. They don't have to do this. What's that all about? Hey, look at me very carefully. First of all, you think it's a problem. It should be a blessing in your thinking.
Right.
Because young people, it is a tougher way to live a biblical Christian life. But it's right.
Right.
And you know what those folks get? They get less because they're given less. The problem is their preacher who hasn't got enough guts to make up a worm because he won't tell them everything that the Bible tells. So you got preachers who love you. You got parents, if you got godly parents, you got godly parents who love you. And they want you to get everything God has for you. They don't want to miss anything. They want you to get the whole enchilada. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I felt something on that enchilada thing. I love Mexican food. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, there's Mexican food in heaven. There's the Chicano glory around the throne of God. But there's Mexican food in heaven. I felt it. Oh, yeah. Anyway, what else? No. They want you to have to see, in order to get everything God has for you, you need to know everything He has for you. And if they don't tell you everything that's in the Bible, you're going to miss something. Well, I wish they'd tell me a few less things that would sure make, oh, get off of it. Honestly. You know, it's fascinating to me. Young people will get involved in athletics, go to practices, train, prepare, get ready. And then when you take them to a biblical fundamental Baptist church, they go, well, this is too much. Oh, shut up. What is wrong with you? No. See, that's the problem with watching sports. You get the bleacher mentality. You sit up the bleachers in the stands, you watch something that goes on the court or the field or whatever else, unless it's soccer, because there's nothing going on. I mean, come on, they have to be tremendous athletes to run around for 3 hours and get excited about 1 point. But, little grass fairies. But they're in tremendous physical condition. We watch them and think, oh yeah, you couldn't get up. You wouldn't last 5 seconds in one of those things. Because you don't have the training, you didn't sacrifice to get there. Excuse me, Jesus said, if any man will come after me, let him take up his easy chair and follow me. No, he said a cross. No, this is the tougher way. This is boot camp. This is the Marine Corps of the Christian life. Hey? Yeah. But Moses didn't say, well, I'd go over there, but man, they're all smelly and they have to live like animals. And he said, no, I think, but see, those are my people, and that's what's right. And I'm taking the tougher route on this thing. That's why I have the utmost of respect for teenagers who are serious about the Christian life. Come on. The utmost respect. You say, yeah, because it's sure tough out there. Look at me. It's never been easy. Yes. You think it was easier for Daniel than for you? The purpose in his heart, he would not defile himself and defy a kingdom and empire. You think it was easier for Moses to make his choice to do? You think that was easier? It's never been easy to live the Christian life the right way. It always asks more of you. But guess what? It gives more to you.
Yes.
Okay. Stand up and stretch your kneecaps for just a moment. I know you've been playing outside and you were so tired. Why are you 14? Honestly. Look at verse number 26. Keep your Bibles with you. Verse number 26. Another decision. Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt. What? Reproach of Christ simply meant, you mean you're going to choose a life where you have less when everybody else has more? Can young people look at me? This is a hard one for teenagers, but I know you can get this. Look at me. Moses made a decision to get his values right. See, look, it's very simple. Let me show you something here. So if I say, okay, here's the game today, and the winner is going to get this $100 bill. It's real. I just made it. $100 bill. Or I pull up here in a brand new pickup truck. Dodge, Chevrolet, not Ford. I would have had to push it over here. But okay. And I say, we're going to play a game tonight, and whoever wins gets that truck. Brand new truck. $75,000, $80,000 truck. Or, if I told you how you could make a ton of money, but you had to cheat to get it. See, it's about value. What do you value? Look at me. What's really valuable to you? There's a woman at a banquet one time with these folks gathered around. They're all sitting there and they're having drinks and all this kind of stuff. And she's smoking a cigarette and sipping on a drink. And this man happened to be talking with her. He leaned over to her and he goes, "Ma'am," he goes, "I'd like to make a proposition." She goes, "What's that?" He said, "Would you go home with me tonight for $10,000? She kind of smiled and she goes, "Well," and he goes, "Well, how about for $1?" She goes, "$1? What do you think I am?" He goes, "I know what you are. We're just settling on the price." You got a price? "Well, I wouldn't do that, but see here." Oh, then your values are adjusted to fit what suits you. Come on, young people. You have to learn to establish what's valuable in life, but not according to what you like, think, or do. Because everybody's different about likes, what they like, what they care for. I mean, look around you, what people are wearing and that kind of stuff. I'm not asking you to be critical, but people have certain likes to you. Junior high boys wear the same clothes 4 days. They think change their underwear means turn it inside out. I mean, they have certain values. Lord. Yes. What is valuable to you? It's another one you're not going to believe. One of these days you're going to go off to college. Hopefully you'll go off to Bible college at least 1 year. Be good for you. And you're going to get there away from home. The first time you go to pull out the drawer and get out your little Spider-Man underwear, gentlemen, you're going to realize who's been filling that drawer all these years. Someday you're gonna feel bad about the fact that you ruined your family's last vacation because you had a bad attitude through the whole cotton picking thing because you didn't get to take your little friend with you. See, I'm not talking money now. I'm talking about what's really valuable. I've done teenager funerals. They're always the largest ones I do. The exception of one was a man who was a NASCAR driver in our church, and there was like 800 people at his funeral. But it's always, whenever a teenager is killed or dies, it's hundreds of people come to their funerals. And it's always fascinating to watch teenagers just lose it. Cry. I've seen them throw themselves on the casket. I mean, get out of it. I mean, lose it. And if their friend did something that was wrong that took their life, they'll make all these promises. "I'll never do that again." 2 weeks later, they're doing it again. Because they haven't got their values right. Moses just said, "You know what? I value being a child of God more than having every riches that Egypt could ever give me." You ever look at people who are super wealthy, have millions of dollars, 94 houses? They got people who paint their toenails for them. I mean, they got all this stuff. And we look at that and we go, "Man, I wish I was like that." Well, there's a time, we won't do it today. Sit down, please. There's a time you should read the book of Ecclesiastes. It's actually in the Bible. Ecclesiastes. It's written by the man Solomon and the end of his life. And Solomon at the end of his life had accumulated more riches than any man who's ever lived. No one even to this day has accumulated as much wealth as Solomon. And he was world famous. People traveled from all over the world just to sit down and ask him some questions. Pre-Google. He had a private zoo. He didn't have a iPod or iPad. What is that one with the music? iPod, thank you. I'm a tech tart. He didn't have one of those. He had a 200-man personal choir. So if he's sitting in his palace, he'd say, "Sing!" 200 people walk in and sing for him. He had 1,000 wives. Frankly, I don't think he was that smart. How he got 1,000 wives, I have no idea. Because in the book of Song of Solomon, he looked at this one girl and he said, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You got hair like a goat. You got teeth like sheep, and some of them are missing. Your eyeballs like a pool of fish." You got 1,000 wives talking to women like that. Must have been hurting in those days. Comes to the end of his life. Look at me. He's still got all his fame, all his wealth, everything he got. And the end of his life, Solomon's attitude when he looked at his life was this: "It's all worthless to me. It doesn't mean anything." Now you think, "Nah, not me. I had a palace. I had all this stuff. I had hot and cold running servants. That would be the life." The man had it, and he said it doesn't mean anything to me. And you know why? Because he lived for everything in the here and now. See, his values were wrong. Get it now. Watch me. You don't want to wake up someday and go, "Oops," because you don't get oops in life. Yep. Some of you, look at me, you play video games so long you've lost reality.
Yeah.
You think life has reset buttons to it. Some of you guys, you think you're so tough because you can play a video game with fighting in it. Have you ever busted your knuckles on some sucker's head? I mean, honestly, have you ever seen what that's like? You don't reset button when you're laying on the curb and a guy's standing there stomping on your face to break your jaw. What is your value system? You think life's good because you got to another level in a video game? Man, wake up.
Yes.
Really?
Man.
Try that on a job application. I got to level 14. Yeah, you'll be making minimum wage the rest of your life. Okay, establish value. Look at verse number 26, quickly now. Verse 26. You ever notice when the preachers say quickly, it takes longer? I don't know what that means. It says, esteeming the reproach of riches, Christ, greater riches, treasure. It says, verse 26. Look at it. He had respect unto the recompense of the reward. Let me explain what that means. He looked ahead. Look here. There well may be a tomorrow. Jesus could come back tonight, and half of you will still be here for camp, but Jesus could come back tonight. Boom, we're on the verge of the last minutes of the last days of Christ's return. However, if there is going to be another tomorrow, what are you thinking about, like, tomorrow? Hey, look at me, next week. What about a year from now? Have you even thought about the fact? I mean, when I was a teenager, people said, man, when I turn 21, I can do what I want. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Because you think, I'm 18 now. Yeah, 18. Okay, go live on your own. Pay your own bills, your own rent, utilities, groceries, insurance. Make your own car payments and wake up spanky to reality.
Right.
Yeah. It's like this kid came to me one day, teenage boy. He goes, I am sick and tired of my parents telling me what to do. I'm joining the Marine Corps. And I said, go ahead. Come see me after boot camp. Now, I do not recommend young people going to the military. I love the military. I'm a veteran. Everything else. The military of today is not the military way back. But this kid, yeah, okay, good. I'm going to go there. I said, yeah, just come see me after boot camp, please. About 12 weeks later, he shows up with his number 1 on his Marine outfit. I looked at him and said, how's it going, bud? He goes, I know what you meant now. Yes, you do. They don't look ahead. Look at me. If there is a tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, 5 years, whatever, look at me. You got to think about this.
Yes.
Too much of what we do is wasted and spent in the moment, not even thinking about the next minute and what's going to happen after that and what takes place then. Your purity, your moral purity is a one-time gift in life that you have to give to the right person when you get married. You give it up before then, you can't have that back. It's gone. Doesn't mean you're worthless and you're dirty and your life's no good. It just simply means you gave away something you can never have back again. Right. A moment of passion can change what could be in the future. You know how many couples I've had sit in my office, married couples with kids, who said this whole thing started wrong and it's been wrong from the gate, and they struggled throughout their entire marriage because they did it the wrong way to start with. That's why you don't live together before you get married. By the way, the statistics prove incidence of divorce is higher among those who live together before marriage and those who wait until they get married. So it doesn't work. It's a lie. Right. But think about it. And do what? You choose, let's say you're going to go to college. I hope you are. Let's say you're going to choose a college. I do not recommend a secular college. But let's say you're going to choose a college. Do you realize most of you are going to meet the person you're going to marry in that college? So if you go to a heathen college, guess what you're going to marry? Right. So I have no plans to get married. For some of you guys, I believe it. But the truth of the matter, unless you go to like a blind college. But the truth is, it's kind of difficult to think unless we actually stop and look ahead a bit. It fascinates me to meet those few teenagers I've come across in these years who are actually thinking ahead about something. I mean, they're looking down the road a ways. Come on, it's as simple as throwing a rock. Right? You pick the rock up. You look at Spanky. And you say, I'm sick and tired of this sucker. And you're not going to do this, right? You should. No, just kidding. Don't do it. And you rear back in a moment, and as soon as you do, and when it leaves your hand, it's done. That's it. You no longer control this. It's over. Hits him in the head, puts his eye out, and then you go, man, didn't you think ahead? There's an old Okie expression my people use. It's called use your head, a woodpecker does. It's a good thought. Verse 27. Now watch this. Another decision. We're almost there if you're counting. We're at number 4, 5. Good. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king. He forsook Egypt. Hey, he could have just stayed and been an Egyptian and we'd have never known who Moses was from nobody. And that's what's going to happen to some of you. Yeah. You're going to go out, do what you do. And it's not like you're going to be a bad person. I don't think anybody here is like planning to be a drug dealer. You know, I'm going to be a serial killer. You know, I really don't think that's probably your plan. And we often make you feel like, well, if you don't do exactly what we tell you, you're not going to be the best person you can be. If you don't do God's will, you won't be the best person you can be. Yeah. Maybe God would put you in full-time Christian service. That would be wonderful. But if he doesn't, wait a minute. The last thing you want is to figure something out, to become successful, and find out it wasn't what you were supposed to do. So I'm knocking doors in our city one day, and this lady comes, nice, beautiful, big house, and this lady comes to the door. She's got a couple little cute kids there beside her, and I told her who I was, Pastor Shasta Baptist Church. I'd like to invite you to our church. She goes, I was raised in a Baptist church. I said, are you saved, lady? Ma'am. She goes, yes, I got saved when I was a young girl. I said, wonderful. Where do you go to church? She said, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon church. I said, oh. She goes, I know. She goes, look, Pastor, I met this young man in school. He's a wonderful man, young man. We married, and he's a Mormon. And she said, he wanted a marriage in the temple where they give you the secret underwear and do the whole cult thing. And she said, I'm sitting there in a class, a marriage class in the Mormon temple, and the teacher points at me and says, how would you like to be married to a God someday? Because if your husband continues in the faith, he could become the God of his own universe. She said, I knew it was wrong. But see, look at me. She said, but I loved him. And he's a good man. So we got married. Now we have children. We have this beautiful home. He's a good man. He's a good provider. But she said, Pastor, I can't even tell my kids about Jesus and salvation. And they're going to be raised Mormons. And she said, I fear that my kids are going to wind up going to hell. And I'm going to go to heaven. And I can't win my husband to Christ. I said, dear lady, this invitation is for you and your family anytime that you would like to come, and you're more than welcome. And she said, would you please remember me? I said, yes, ma'am. I will. She sought personal approval over God's approval. Hey, she's not a bad person. And she's not having a bad life. You say, well, that's good enough. She got a house, she got a car, she got a home, she got kids. I mean, she's got the dream. She has a nightmare and she knows it. Because what? Because she decided to live for personal approval or the world's approval. I'm sick and tired of Christian athletes, Christian performers, Christian movie stars who get themselves in a wicked, stinking situation, and then they give credit to God for what they do and what they are in a place they should have never gone because they sold out. No athlete's got business playing on Sunday. You got to be in church. You say, well, you can't make money that way. Yeah, that's your problem. You'd rather have the approval of the crowd. And let me tell you something. That's about how long it lasts. Come on, how many more times do we have to see people, the Michael Jacksons of the people of this world, Michael Jackson, absolutely the ugliest white woman who ever lived. And what else? Look at this. And what happens? They nod off when they're in their 30s and their 40s, leave millions of dollars to a bunch of reprobate people, and we think, yeah, but no, yeah, but nothing. See, we don't get the concept that God's approval of my life is more important than anybody else's. I want to go to bed at night and pillow my head and know that he is pleased with me. Amen. Sometimes that doesn't make people happy. Sometimes they just don't happen to like what you do. And if you're all hung up on whether or not people like you or not, you better get over that. Moses just said, no, I'm forsaking Egypt. and walked off. Last one is verse 27. Then it says this, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured, seeing him who is invisible. Moses' decision number 6 was this. He kept his eyes on God. All right, we'll cover it a few more times before this week's over. Sometimes people are going to let you down. When I got mad at God, I might talk a little bit more about it tonight. When I got mad at God in my life, I got mad at God because my preacher dad ran off with a woman in the church and messed us up. And I got mad at God about it, and I got mad at him about it, and then I got mad at everybody else about it, and then I tried to take it out on everybody that I possibly could. Problem, look at me. The problem was God didn't do me wrong. People make mistakes and they fail. Would you attribute that correctly, please? Because you haven't been perfect either. So fascinating. Yeah, but look what they did. Okay, you can only say that if you've been perfect in what you do. You never lied, you never hurt anybody, you never said anything you shouldn't say. You can only do that if that's your case. And that ain't none of us, is it? Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Jesus has never failed you. He's never failed you. I said he's never failed you. He's never let you down. He'll never let you down. He'll never leave you or forsake you. And when I'm supposed to run my race as a child of God, I'm supposed to look unto Jesus, the author and finisher of my faith, not people. People can help me when they're good and do right, but if they don't, I'm going to run my race. I'm going to just keep my eyes on him. Let me show you. Good. Come here. Bobby, come here. Spanky, you come here too. Good. Spanky, you stand right there. Bob, get behind. You turn around, face that way. It's your best angle. Okay, good. Bobby, stand right here. The Apostle Paul said, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Here's the Apostle Paul. Sorry, Paul. And here's Jesus. Forgive us, Lord. All right, so here we go. So, did you take your meds this morning? No? Okay, never mind. So, Paul said to those to follow him, watch me, while he followed Jesus. Right. So here's the chain. It's okay to follow somebody who's following Jesus. And you got the Jesus book. Right? You got the Jesus book to make sure they're following Jesus. I checked them against this. This is right. This is fallible. But if they're on the book, we're good. And while they follow Jesus, I follow them. But if the day comes, they don't follow Jesus, you get behind them and keep on going, right? No! No. They got off track. I still got Jesus, and I still got the Bible. I'm okay. I just keep going. So stop the whimpering, simpering, poochy lip problem you got because so-and-so wasn't what so-and-so was supposed to be. Well, whoop they stinking do, Jack. So welcome to the human race. But for Christians, that's not an excuse that won't work. You got the book. You got the Savior. He endured as seeing him who is invisible. How do you see somebody who's not there? Because you've got it so fixated in your mind that he's so right, this book is so right, I'm just going to keep my eyes on him and keep going. Thank you, fellas. You can be seated. The truth of the matter is, here's Hagen. No dancing with that. And he did all of that. Moses did all of that while he was a teenager. Let's stand our feet. You mean a teenager can make decisions that affects their life? Daniel wouldn't obey the law and went to the lion's den when he was 80. You know why? Because when he was a teenager, he purposed in his heart he was not going to defile himself. And by the time he got to 80, he hadn't changed his mind. Some of you are as confused as a termite in a wooden yo-yo. Just going around. Because you can't, you know what? You got to settle some things in your mind about what you believe in. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for these young people that are careful listening. I pray you bless what we have heard today. Help us, Father, carefully to follow your word and make decisions as young as Moses is in our life. Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, one more pump on the Tootsie Rolls. Hey, listen now, listen. Ricochet. Candy throwing fools over there. Make sure you pick up all the loose ones. No paper on the floor. None whatsoever.
Judge.
What?
Judge. You got one. I'm in.
My mother feels farther than that. She's been in heaven for 10 years. Oh.